Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? What is going on? Hopefully, you guys can see me and hear me good. As you guys are coming in, I'm gonna do what I do best and, hum a few bars. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you don't know me or you're new here, I am AFIYA Rise, and this is Roots and Rebirth. Tonight, we're focusing on our Q&A, which puts you in a position to vet me as your divine seer, aka life coach or spiritual coach, and just to see how we interact and see how I answer questions on the fly to vet me for future services. What's going on, Jennifer? How you doing today? And I'm gonna give it a few minutes to allow you guys some time to come in. My world it moves so fast today. The past it seems so far away. And life squeezes so tight that I can't breathe. And every time I've tried to be what someone else thought of me, so caught up, I wasn't able to achieve. And deep in my heart, the answer, it wasn't me. Hasn't been a bad day at all. Glad to hear it. I hope that was what you were saying. And I made up my mind to define my own destiny. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Tonight we're doing Q&A. You guys are more than welcome to throw your questions into the chat and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I look at my environment and wonder where the fire went. What happened to everything we used to be? I hear so many cries for help, searching outside of themselves. Now I know that this strength is within me. Thank you. And deep in my heart, the answer, it wasn't me. And I made up my mind to define my own destiny. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. And as I stated before, welcome into Roots and Rebirth. Hi, my name is AFIYA Rise, and I am your hostess. And tonight is an opportunity just to kind of go with the flow, to chill and have a little fun, relax, learn a little something, ask something about what has been on your heart. It can be related to just about anything. I will say, full disclosure, I do reserve the right to not answer a question if I feel like that's something that I would like to explore. But generally speaking, I will do the best to answer your question, do my best to assist you and aid you in transitioning out of this rut, out of this storm into the next period of your life. What's going on, Miss Wanda? How you doing, hun? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And you guys, as soon as you are able, you are more than welcome to go ahead and put your questions into the chat. I will be on here for about an hour. That's going to last between 8:30 Eastern time to about 9:30 Eastern time. The only thing that, may bring it to a close a little earlier is if we have some type of emergency, or we're just running a little slow and people are not in the mood to ask any questions this evening. But typically it doesn't end up that way. Typically we always have a really great conversation, a warm and constructive build, and I hope that we can keep that consistent and have that tonight as well. For the people that are with us from YouTube, I am new to the YouTube family. I'm still building my page, building my following. So you guys are going to get to know me as we go. But to my Facebook family, they've known me for almost 6 years now. So they pretty much have an idea for my taste, my vibe, my style, how I roll, how I deal with conflict, the things that I love, the things I can't stand. You know how that goes. But my YouTube family will get to know me as we journey ahead. Um, this podcast, as it relates to Roots and Rebirth, is intended to be a safe space where women can explore their minds, their hearts, their spirits, an opportunity for them to meet other like-minded women that are not only ready to explore the different aspects of themselves, but lean on each other in similar experiences, or turn to someone who may be an elder who has helpful experience to help her elevate herself out of the rut that she's in. This is not a space for gossip. This is not a space for drama. I won't have it, not today or any other day. Any of that energy being brought in here is just instantly blocked and banned for the rest of forever. We're not timing you out. We're not wasting any time. We're just going to go ahead and give you your exit papers, because we're on a mission statement in here. We got goals in here. We got kids to take care of and husbands to be a helpmate to. We have goals we're trying to achieve and places we're trying to go. Nobody has time to be babysitting nobody that clearly does not want to be here. So this space is protected, not just by me and for my future moderators of my at least YouTube page, but this is protected spiritually. I carry a lot of grace and a lot of empathy for the experiences of other women. And this is an opportunity for you to really tap in. This is an opportunity for you to get free life coaching, which is similar to therapy, similar to counseling, similar to those type of career paths. The only real difference is um, I do not prescribe, nor do I diagnose. I can give you my opinion, but I will let you know in that moment once we're approaching the line. I am not a medical professional. I cannot diagnose you. You have to go see a licensed professional to get a formal diagnosis. You have to go see a licensed professional to get a prescription. I'm here to help you do the work physically, to help you do the work mentally, to help you get in touch with your feelings and get confident in those aspects of yourself. But I'm not here to tread or step over the boundaries into the medical field. I am not a medical professional. I'm a spiritual professional. So understand the difference, and of course respect the boundaries, because I will not take over anybody else's profession. I'm gonna stay in my lane. What's going on, Ashlyn? How you doing, love? I love me some flower emojis. Thank you so much. I see that flag too. Right, Stephanie, how you doing? And thank you guys for coming in. Again, this is our Q&A, and I'm introducing that tonight to my YouTube page. Oh, really, Stephanie? You have to DM me and give me an update. I hope all is well. That is a great news. Great, great news. Please send me a DM with a little bit of the details. I don't want to ask you on a public forum, but that's great to hear. That definitely is great to hear. Again, this is a Q&A, opportunity for you to vet me as your divine seer, aka your life coach or spiritual coach, and ask any questions about parenting, about relationships, about personal goals, about spirituality, about healing trauma, about communication. I'm there for it. We can unpack it. And don't be shy, because you never know. The question that you're thinking about asking, there's likely another sister or a few other people to that may have the same question, and they may be fulfilled by the answer that I provide. If you're on Facebook, you can, I think it's in the right hand corner. You see the Facebook logo. If you click on that, it should take you into Messenger, and you can message me directly. Hopefully your screen looks the same as mine, but that's how it looks on my like page. If not, on my main screen, on my main page, you should have a blue hyperlink that says message, I believe. Either way. Housing in my near future. Are you saying you're trying to manifest housing in your near future? Okay, all right. I look forward to your DM, hun. Um, and I had something on my mind a second ago, and then the next second I lost my train of thought. Um, my live earlier today, we discussed a couple of things, but the focus point of the live was to um nice. Okay, good to yes, absolutely. That's a beautiful manifestation. I definitely hope for that as well. And I send you my encouragement. Hopefully, you receive abundance and blessings, and that includes housing in your near future. Everything that you will have is soon on the way. Please believe me. Do not doubt it for 1 second. It's when you doubt that you extend the distance between where you're at and where you're going. Jennifer says, I'm currently in pain and having so much anxiety. Loss of one career due to accident. That's not my fault. Trauma. Is this part of our growth spiritually? When is enough enough? Whoo. Um, Here's the thing, Jennifer. First, I want to say that it sounds like you're in the middle of your storm. And what I usually describe as a storm is usually that moment that kind of hits like a domino effect. Like one thing happens, then another thing happens, and then another thing and another thing. And it just feels like you're getting gut punched for a couple days straight. Like it's just one thing after another. Hello, Stephen. How you doing today? Um, and so I refer to that as a storm. And as a spiritual person, I look at life as like interconnected rings, right? And when you're in this ring, you're learning, you're evolving, you're growing, right? But and you let's say you see this little circle that's has me enclosed on this YouTube channel, but you're coming across the circle, right? This is you developing. When you get to the point to where you're getting ready to cross into the next circle, the part that connects, you see this little open area in the center right here? That's your area of storm. And so I look at it as when you're getting ready to step into your next season, your next circle, your next level up, your next staircase, storm brews, a storm ensues, because it's there to challenge your intent, challenge your will, challenge your faith, challenge your belief system, challenge your will. And when you clear the storm, you're in the next stage of your life, in the next season, in the next circle. Thank you so much, Terry, for the fair use. I appreciate that. I don't typically use outside data on my lives, but it's always good to have, because for all I know, I might get creative and do something random, and this will already be available. So I appreciate that. Um, so I tell people that when you're in the middle of transitioning into your next season, into your next level up, into your next circle, you will be challenged. A storm will brew. And when that storm brews, it's a test of your commitment. So, for example, it's typically around a specific aspect of yourself. Like, let's say you're getting ready to start this business and you lay all your ducks in a row, and as you're unfolding and stepping closer and closer and closer to this business being activated, the activation of your business and the finalization of your business is your next chapter. Like, something is ending and something is beginning. That's always indicative of a next chapter. When you purchase a home, when you get married, when you have a baby, your life alters, right? And so typically, when you have something that changes your life that much, you're entering into a new season. You're entering into another chapter, going from chapter 1 to chapter 2, from chapter 2 to chapter 3, etc. And so when you come to like the last 2 pages of the book, there are challenges. Like, if you're pregnant, you might fall on hard times with your spouse to the point to where you're like, I'm literally having a baby with this person and we're at odds. To question your commitment. You're starting a business, they delay your loan, delay your business plan, to see if that's just going to make you go, you know what, I quit. Um, when you have goals and you have a job that's helping you facilitate and contribute to those goals, like this job may not be your dream job, but what it pays is helping you invest in the thing that's going to help this business take off, you'll lose your job. You'll lose your job so you can feel what it's like to feel discouraged and push through that discouraging feeling. So you can feel lost and confused and unstable and push through those emotions and prove your willpower, prove your commitment, prove your loyalty, prove your standards, your morals and values. When you tell yourself, I'm a non-smoker, I don't drink, and I'm a real focus based and serious person. I don't like, stuff that distracts me. When it's time for you to really be your highest focus, you're going to get hit with a lot of distractions, invites to parties, people buying you alcohol, inviting you to do things that will cause you to stray away from your mission. And these things are there to test your commitment in whatever area you're committing. So like, even if you're getting married and you're walking up closer to the actual wedding day, you and your fiance are going to feel a lot of flirtatious vibes leading up to your um wedding day, because it's to make sure you want to do this. Are you positive? Look what you can have. Look what you can have. Look what you can have. To see if you can keep your discipline about you. So yes, to answer that question, that's exactly how I feel. And that enough is enough feeling is exactly what the intention is that instead of you saying enough is enough, which is putting out the energy of wanting to give up, wanting to quit, wanting to tap out, the energy you want to carry is like, okay, is that all you got? You coming for me? I'm going right there. And when I tell you I'm going right there, I mean I'm going right there. I'm starting this business, and I mean when I say I'm starting this business, I'm starting this business. I'm marrying this man, and when I say I'm marrying this man, I'm marrying this man. You trying to distract me? Trying to throw me off? Trying to see if I really want what I say I want? Okay, let me show you. Okay, let me show you. And I answer the experiences in my life like that. If I'm in the middle of trying to accomplish a goal and somebody bring me some foolery that'll have me facing the opposite direction, I might not say it in front of other people because, people that don't understand, they'll just assume you crazy. But when I get by myself and say, you tried it, you wanted me to burrow down that hole and forget all about the things that I said I was going to do. But no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You might get called with something devastating. And sometimes the distractions are so impactful that it's crippling. You still have to get your crutches, get back up on your feet, and keep moving with the crutches, recovering from scars, recovering from burns, recovering from heartache. The tests are not minor. They're not tests that you could just shake off. They're tests that remind you you will always be proving yourself. You will always be developing. You will always be growing. Your will and your drive and your purpose will always be in question because there are so many levels of life to overcome to ensure that you are capable of maintaining what you say you want out of life, that the challenges are never going to stop. You will always have to prove to yourself that you're worthy of having it. Like it's almost like an annual renewal. Next year, you're going to have to do it again. You're going to be challenged by something else. Okay, so you think that getting married was a challenge. Okay, cool. Try kids. Boom, you're pregnant. You get through that first year, you get through your second year, you like, this is not that big of a deal. I'm doing pretty good. I was scared for a minute, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. You pregnant again. Boom. Okay, that's how you feel. So now you pregnant again. You got to readjust. You got to recommit. You got to get to know yourself all over again. And now you juggling two kids and a husband, and you like, you know what? You came for me, but I got this. Then you lose your job. You lose your job. Now it's like, can you love your husband? Can you take care of your kids? And he's stressed from not being able to provide. Can you juggle that? There will always be something to challenge your will, something to develop you, something to cross you into your next season. You will never be done growing. So understand that the good experiences as well as the negative and painful experiences are there to shape you. Jennifer says, I want kids, but I can't get kids. I am so sorry to hear that, love. I can only imagine what that feels like, and I empathize with that. I would never even dream to tell you that I know what that's like because I do not. And I know I've always wanted children. And my biggest fear was hearing that that couldn't happen for me. When I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2018, one of the doctors that worked with me told me, don't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good idea. And it's not because, and it was because of, to say that, the condition of my body wasn't okay. You know what I mean? Or to say that this is not a good idea. And I literally put the thought down for years, because that one person made me afraid. Um, and then I followed that up with experts. I went to experts, and this is related to my condition, not related to my age, but related to my condition. And they were like, I wouldn't advise it. And then they followed that up. I followed that up with experts that were proficient and specifically studied my condition and didn't do anything else. And when I talked to those doctors, they literally were flabbergasted. Like, I can't believe you talked to an MD and they opened their mouths and said this is not possible for you. Like, they sent me to not a conference, but a group specifically for people with MS. I met a load of women who had children after their diagnosis, and changed my whole life around because I was heartbroken when I got told that. And I was just like, that's the only reason why I'm here. Like, like, I didn't even know how to take that. In my mind, it was just like, that's the only reason why I'm here, is to be a mom, to contribute to the future. Like, what? And, my mother had 2 kids and she had MS as well, but she got diagnosed after she had her children. And, my best friend who I met in one of those groups, she had MS and she had 3 kids and she had children while she had MS. And so, but I learned through my own exploration, like, something like that. People tell you things, and I would say, and I'm not giving you advice because I have no idea the situation that led to you making that statement, but I would say allow nothing but your own body to tell you something like that, because sometimes medical advice is not right. You know what I mean? And when I'm talking about medical advice not being right, I'm talking about something like that. Like, you cannot have kids. That doesn't mean stop trying. That doesn't mean if you fall in love, don't expose yourself because it's not possible. I genuinely believe that spirit, if you want to say from a religious background, God or whatever, like, I genuinely believe that life will make a way if it's meant to. If that's your intended purpose for life, if that's something you're supposed to complete in your journey, you will. And I think that women, especially, um, how we take care of ourselves greatly contributes to that. Sometimes you're riddled with stress, trauma, that kind of thing, and the way you go about your health will destroy your body. But I also know that correcting your health, correcting your diet, exercising, detoxing, cleansing yourself, transitioning into a more holistic stance can also replenish your body. So, um, life is possible, and I think that's a big reason why I show up as the mother as I show up as, is because I understood that I could potentially, that could have been true, it could have been true. And I get to, observe that on a daily basis. I understand, but it's not anatomically possible. And I'm now 51 in a few minutes. Okay, I gotcha. In a few months. No, you're fine. I understood. And even then, like, trust me, I mean, and like you said, it's not anatomically possible. But when I say life finds a way to do some amazing things. Life finds a way to do some amazing things, believe you me. But I think that even outside of that, as far as biologically, Miss Jennifer, it is not. It is definitely not a punishment. What I was getting ready to say to you is actually going to, I hope, resolve that thought. Is that the truth is, there are a lot of ways to become a mom, okay? And when I was told that when I got diagnosed, that's what brought my soul back to life, because it crushed me. The idea that I couldn't have that relationship with a child, or with my child. And the truth is, I had to sit back and understand life and say, while we talk about motherhood as far as pregnancy, um, in reality, there are a lot of ways to become a mother. There are a lot of ways to get that label. So do not discount life's experiences. It is also possible that you could not bear children because out there is a man who lost his wife, is a man who lost his wife and he has a child or a few children that are desperate for that nurturing spirit to become a part of their home. Perhaps life was aware that you could only really immerse yourself in those children if you did not have children of your own. You see what I'm saying? There are a lot of ways. There are a lot of ways to become a mom. Um, we have siblings, stuff happens. You know what I mean? Somebody could come knocking at your door one day and say, you know what I mean? These children are now in your care for whatever reason. Your sibling is no longer allowed to cover these children. Are you willing to adopt them full time and be mom? You know what I mean? There's adoption. There are children all over the world that need that type of love and tender care. Teachers in schools get to be parents without having children of their own, People that run daycares, they have some of that same type energy for children. So open your heart and open your mind to possibilities as well. And speak that life out loud and say, listen, I know anatomically I cannot have children, but I also know that's not my only route to being a mother. I'm open to being a mother regardless of how my children got here. Even if that, you know what I mean? If that means, non-biological. I'm here to be used as a teacher, as a nurturer, as a mother for the child or children you see fit. And I think that accepting life that way allows your body to open up, allows your spirit to open up, allows parts of you to heal. Because when you feel like you're devastated in that way, that devastation seeps into your pores, seeps into your womb. You know what I mean? You have to make peace with that and realize that there are a lot of ways to become a mom. Know that every time you come across the child that is lacking that position being filled in their life, you could potentially be mom. You see what I'm saying? And I think that it's unfortunate that in society, we have made it so women that cannot have children, or women that get their breasts removed, or women that have a hysterectomy or anything like that, like a lot of women in those situations feel like they're not necessarily a woman anymore because there are parts of them that categorize what a woman is, that they are no longer in possession of those things. And while I can understand the perspective, there's an essence about being a woman that's nothing that could be taken away. And I think that that's always something to hang on to and embrace when the time comes. And I sincerely think that regardless of your age and anatomy, you will have your opportunity. I think that the only way you will not have your opportunity is if your eyes are closed to only the opportunities that you're looking for. And this is something that us women, we tend to do. We're like, oh, I want to marry a man that looks like this. And since you have that vision in your mind, all the potential husbands that walk by you, you don't even see because they don't fit the idea of what you are looking for. Case in point, I practice poly. I have a husband. I have a sister wife. She has children. I have my son. Um, they have a granddaughter. We all live in the same home. And so people are always asking questions about, oh, is it awkward? Is it weird? You're weird. You guys are weird. How could you possibly do something like that? And I want to tell you this because I want you to understand that even if a person is not necessarily in your same situation, this same perspective applies. I always wanted children. I always wanted to be married, right? I always wanted to set a new standard, a new legacy, and be married to a man who changed the last name of the family to start a new legacy. I always wanted to move out of the country. I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. These were things that were in my mind to say, this is part of my future. I always wanted to go into business for myself so I could generate revenue at home and also be a full-time mother. Um, I knew I wanted to get married and have kids, all the rest of that, right? And so I asked myself a lot of questions as I started getting older, and that it wasn't necessarily unfolding in the time frame that I felt like it should unfold. I started asking myself questions like, well, you want to get married and you want to have kids, like maybe you're not looking at it right because you're only looking for a man that's going to marry you and have children, right? What if your husband already has kids? Would you see him? No, because in your mind, you've been looking for a man that don't have no kids, you know? Um, how would you know what I mean? You wouldn't know that was your husband when you met him if he already had kids. He'd just be a guy, right? And when I opened up that window to say, would you be with somebody that had kids? And I had to sit with that and go, well, under a condition. I would be with somebody who had kids, but he would have to be a man that does right by his kids and still does right by the mother of his kids, even though he's no longer with her. Right? Next thing, I said, I also would like to have a good relationship with the mother because I know things happen. You have kids. What if it's a situation where she can't get to her kids and she can't get a hold of him? I would like to be close enough to her to where she could call me and say, this is what I need. It's an emergency. And she knows that I'll take care of her children like I would my own. I don't want no drama. I also want to be a part of a situation where he's consistently active. Like, I would feel some type of way if he was not actively a part of his kid's life, if he wasn't answering the mother of his kid's call. That wouldn't be okay with me, you know? So I hashed all that out in the inside and within myself, like, okay, well, now that I've ironed out the details, if I had the right situation, yeah, I could be with a man who already had kids. And then I met my husband. And then we got to know each other. And then he talked to me about poly. He had kids already. And now I'm in a lifestyle where I have a husband. He has kids already. I have a good relationship with the mother of those kids. And we work together all the time. You see what I'm saying? And so by the time the lifestyle got introduced to me, I only had one more question to ask. I'm checking all the boxes of the things that I say that I can deal with. So the final question is, can you still do all of that? And she has a romantic relationship with him still. I toggle back and forth on that. Like, I mean, what's the real difference? I mean, he's gonna have to come to her when she calls. He's gonna have to come to the kids when she calls. He's responsible for her. He's responsible for the children. I'm like, they do have a relationship. If I'm being honest, you know? And so that made that possible for me to let the walls down of what I was trying to tell myself I wanted, but it could only look like the way I want it to look. Me expanding how it could look for me allowed me to be a part of a dynamic that I never considered prior to, and allowed me to broaden my horizons. And now here I am, married. I have a child. I'm a stay-at-home mother. I have my own business. We're getting ready to move out of the country. I have everything that I said I wanted in my union. And everything's copacetic. You see what I'm saying? So when I say that, a lot of times we envision what we want for ourselves. And when we envision what we want for ourselves, it has to look exactly how we draw the picture in our minds. And what if that's not what if that's not the intention for your life? Then when you draw that picture, if the intention for your life looks like something else, you'll never see it. If you're saying, I want to be a mom, but that baby has to come through my womb, what if that's not how you become a mother in this life? What if the way you become a mother is to meet a man who is desperate to have a woman in his life because he has children that he wouldn't know what to do with without a woman's touch? And you're the woman he's supposed to find. But if you're telling yourself that the only way I could be a mom is if I bring children through my womb, you'll never even look at him as an option. And therefore, those kids lose out on having the mother they're meant to have. He misses out on having the wife he's meant to have. We restrict and bind ourselves so much when we tell ourselves, this is what I'm looking for. The truth is, almost none of us know exactly what's best for ourselves. Like women that walk around and say, oh, this is my type. I had to, I shed all that too. Like the idea that you think that your husband is X amount of feet tall, he makes this amount of money, this is what he does for a living, this is how his body look. Like, do you know how many husbands you writing off right now? What if life says your husband don't look like that? What if God say your husband don't look like that? What if ancestors say your husband don't look like that? You will never meet your husband because you telling yourself he has to be 6 feet tall. Your husband is 5'10". Now what? You telling yourself that your husband gotta have facial hair. He don't. You telling yourself that your husband gotta have 6 and 7 figures. He don't make that much. But he's a good man. He's a consistent man. He's an emotionally intelligent man. You see what I'm saying? And so we cut ourselves off at the legs so often because we're chasing a vision and we're not accepting what reality looks like. We'll pray and say, yep, I need a job. I'm praying for a job. And then when life hands you McDonald's, you turn your face up. Don't nobody ever working know it. What I look like working at McDonald's? You asked for a job. You did not ask for a particular job. You asked for a means of income. You didn't say how much you wanted to make. You see what I'm saying? We have a vision, and then we have our prayer or our manifestation. For people who are Christian, you actually, get down on your knees and you put your hands together and you pray. For spiritual people, the things that we do is our prayer. So when you want that job, you do the necessary things to get that job. That's how you manifest what you're trying to get. And so you have to do your part. So even if you want a job, if you just say, I want a job, you're going to get the next available job. You're not going to get what you're dreaming about. You didn't ask for what you're dreaming about. You asked for a job. And that was a big clarification for myself. I said I wanted a husband. I said I wanted to be a mom. I said that I wanted to stay at home. I said that I wanted to leave the country. What I didn't tell the universe I wanted was monogamy, damn it. I didn't think I needed to cover that part. I didn't know people was living, outside of monogamy. I said I want a husband. I want him to be convicted. I want him to be absent religion. I want him to be spiritual. I want him to be very attentive and hands-on. I want him to be intellectual. I said all of that. I did not say he needed to be monogamous. So when the opportunity presented itself, I had to sit back and go, damn it. Lacey, you got some questions. I feel you got some questions to answer over here, girl. He is everything you asked for. He's everything you asked for. He checked all 27 of your boxes. Now, here's the question. Is this still the man that you want, considering he want another wife? He has another wife. Is this still attractive? And I thought that was hilarious. And I sat back and I looked at the situation and I was like, what? Me and the universe just sat there chuckling. Like, because I'm just like, that ain't right. That ain't right. I shouldn't have had to say monogamous. I didn't know people was walking around here with more than one wife. In my existence at the time, everybody was monogamous, damn it. It was implied. Universe, ancestors. It was implied. I shouldn't have had to say that. So I had to be realistic with myself and say, sis, you got everything that you asked for. You got everything that you wanted. Would you dare get blessed with everything you asked for, everything that you said you wanted, and then walk in the opposite direction? What if this really is your husband? What if this really is your husband and you looking at your manifestation realized in your face and you sit up there and go, I ain't doing that. What I look like? What if you never see it manifested again after that? What if you had this one shot to get everything you wanted? A spiritual man, a man that changed the family's last name and started a legacy, a man that stood on his word and didn't just fall for any hoopla, a very confident man, a very attractive man, a very creative and artistic man, a very hands-on man that takes pride in being a father, a man that believes in a wife being at home to take care of her children. So he believes in being a provider 100%. So he's going to take you out the workforce. You get all of that. You get all of that, and you still get to maintain making your own money. And you get to lead a country. All you got to do is allow him to do the same thing for one more person. And all that belongs to you. Can you do it? And I said, yes. Yes. Because the truth is, if you turn around and you say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? This is what I want. I want monogamy. Okay, so now the universe says, okay, cool. I gave you everything that you asked for. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to continue to look for the man that's checking all these boxes, right? So now I'm going to send you the monogamous man. He checks all these boxes too. But when you marry him, you're going to find out that half of that stuff was a lie. You're going to find out he ain't half of what he told you he was, half of what you thought he was. You see what I'm saying? And that's when you start having to challenge yourself, or you're being challenged, because when you get handed the things that you asked for, but it's missing one little thing that you didn't think to look over, you have to decide, am I throwing the fish back? Am I putting the fish back in the pond? But here's the risk you take. When you throw it back, do you think you're going to hit 99.9% again? No, ma'am, not likely. Not likely. You're going to get 70%. You're going to get 85%. You're going to get 60%. And you're going to wish, you're going to look back on the situation and say, I literally had all the boxes checked. And that's what we as women do when we live our life is he has to be tall, he has to be this, he has to be this, he has to be this. So if he's not checking all your boxes, you won't extend grace and say, you know what? Because he's checking almost all of my boxes, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna I'm gonna try it out because it's very close to everything, or it is everything. But the exception, I don't know how I feel about it. And that's how life works. You ask for the job and you get McDonald's. People that are appreciative for the things that they ask for, they're going to take that McDonald's job and treat it like they're getting paid top dollar more than anybody on minimum wage. And because of that, that person is going to shoot to the top and be management of that same McDonald's in no time, making salary because that person treated that job like it was gold, even though it wasn't the specific job that they asked for. Women cut off their blessings the more specific they are about what they want because we assume we know exactly what we need. Most of the time, you don't. Here's a point. Back in the day when you when I said women have a type, we're like, girl, yeah, I love me a man that look like this, that look like this, look at these are the details. Go back in your mind. Every man you got that looked exactly like that did you dirty. And you still chasing your type. What you think that means? Do you think that means that you know what you need or no? See, a smart woman gonna look and say, you know what? I love the little, the baby face and the beard or the braids or whatever it is. I like the guy that look like that. And them same women be talking about men ain't ish. Every dude that did you dirty was in the I'm your type bracket. And you ain't adjusted your type yet. You still thinking you gonna marry a man that look like that with the universe trying to tell you that man is no good for you. You ain't learned your lesson yet. God is telling you your type does not fit you. You need to alter your type. You need to modify your type. Your type is the one that's going to keep you healthy, keep you invigorated, keep you inspired, take you higher, help you evolve, push you outside your comfort zone. That's the person that's good for you. But the person that a woman chases is the person that's bad for her more often than not. And see, it's funny because a man may come at you and say that when you say, oh, this guy wasn't my type in the beginning, they feel offended by that, but they don't realize that it's actually a very good thing because most of these women are saying that the guy that they thought was their type was the heartbreaker. That just means that their judgment was poor. It don't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means that they were focused in a direction that typically was not good for them. If they ended up marrying you and they're saying you're not typically my type, what they're saying is they found out via you that the person that I thought was my type was no good for me. Meaning I had no idea what I needed. And then I met you, and all of a sudden I'm getting everything that I need. That means there's only one of you. In her past is a bunch of people that look like the type. You're the original. You're the unicorn, beloved. It's a compliment. But men don't typically take it that way. So yeah, when it comes to being a mom, when it comes to all of those things, you really have to look at your life and say, what does this picture really look like for me? Because a lot of times what you're praying for, you're not even specific enough to get it. Or you're entirely too specific. And when you get it, you're going to learn the reason why you shouldn't be so specific. Because if you want a guy that looks like that and drives that and this and that and the other, all those details make a jerk. You ain't even know. You want the guy that look like this and drive this and make this amount of money. That man is abusive. While you saying you know what type you want, you getting trial runs all throughout your childhood, all throughout high school, all throughout college, and you find out over and over again that if you get the guy that checks off them boxes you're looking for, they full of themselves, they conceited, they selfish, and a bunch of other stuff, and you're not learning the lesson. That is not your type. That's just what you call yourself being attracted to, but the attraction has nothing to do with their character. You're attracted to the aesthetics of that man, but you haven't assessed the character of that man. And the universe is trying to give you a man with good character. God is trying to give you a man with good character, not to meet a sparkle in your eye, but to give you a man that feeds your soul. And for some of you, you're lucky enough to have a man that look good too, that's fine too. But some of you guys will say, he's handsome, he's cute, I like his eyes. But boy, that man take care of you like nobody in this world. He is a good man. And we don't understand the difference. Would you rather have eye candy or would you rather have a good man, a good husband, a good father? Women that have been married a long time or have pursued long-term relationships, they understand that there's a distinction. Some of you guys, like I said, will be lucky enough to get a fine man that's a good man too, because I feel that way. I'm like, my husband is a looker. But there are some men that are handsome, that are well put together, that are well rounded, but their spirit is what shines more than anything. You know what I mean? They're not a supermodel type, but they clean up nice in a suit. They're very poised. They're very, you know what I mean? They're very wise. Their protective instincts are on point. And you'll say that man is not your type. But that's a good father. That's a good husband. Rise, Stephanie. And women right now are making poor decisions around their future regarding men because they're choosing these men based on the outline of what they think makes up a man instead of the character of what it really takes to be a man. And allowing that man to show you instead of you thinking you got it in your mind, you know exactly what a man is and how he's supposed to make you feel. Most women have never experienced a good man until they found their husband. So how could you possibly know what you're looking for to say that you have a type in the first place? And we do this on a regular basis and we shoot ourselves in the foot because you want to be a mom, but you want to have a baby pass through your body. And what if that's not your destiny? What if that's not your destiny? Your destiny is to marry a man who already has kids and love them like your own. Your destiny is to adopt. Your destiny is you're going to become a caregiver for one of your siblings' kids. What if you're dreaming about having a career and whole time you meant to be a stay-at-home mom? What if you're a stay-at-home mom and whole time you're meant to be a career woman? You see what I'm saying? Women are stubborn as all hell and prideful as all hell, and the universe is trying to drag you in a direction, and you beating up the universe like, don't touch me, I don't want to do that. But that's where your purpose is. That's where your purpose is. And you're resisting. You have women that are career women. Whole time, your purpose is babies. You're supposed to be a mother. But until you give up the fact that your value comes from making money, You're never really going to see the magic that happens in your life, the change that happens to your soul when you have your first child. Some women had a bunch of babies and they was meant to get out here and make money. That's why they're unable to be a fulfilling mother in the way that they're supposed to be. What do you see in you, Stephanie? Share, if you don't mind sharing that on the platform. If it's private, then that's okay. Um, but some women were not meant to have kids. They're short tempered. They don't want patience. They don't like the fact that they got to put kids first. They were meant for career, and they messed around and had kids, and they're irritable all the time. They think children are annoying. You see what I'm saying? Some women were not supposed to do that. They were meant to uh, explore the world and make money. And there are men like that too. Some of you guys made fathers out of men that wasn't meant to be fathers. Some of y'all made husbands out of men that were meant to be a rolling stone, caregiver for friends and family, especially now. Okay, okay. And I can see that. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to be a parent. Some of you guys are mothers and never had a child of your own. You raised your sister's kids, you raised your nephew's kids, you raised a bunch of children within the family, and without you, they wouldn't have had somebody to call mom. You are a mom. You just didn't have children. That doesn't mean you're any less of a mother. You should be celebrating Mother's Day as well. And so you have to really sit with yourself and ask yourself, like, if I want to be a mom or if I want to be a wife, like to say, like, even with my situation, if you say you want to be a wife, when did you say you wanted to be the only wife? You say, I want to be married. I want a husband. Well, you got it. How you gonna find a problem when you get it? But the catch is he want more than one wife. Did you pray to be the only wife? No, because you didn't think you needed to. What if you come across a man and he's your knight in shining armor? He gives you everything that you need. He fills voids you didn't even know you had, but he wants more than one wife. Do you still just want a husband? What you wish for will come to you. What you pray for will come to you. But there will always be a sacrifice in connection with what you're asking for, and you will be asked to make that sacrifice. And a lot of women are not willing to make that sacrifice. That's why they don't get the life that they're intending to get. Like even related to my lifestyle, there are a lot of women that husbands secretly want another wife, and they don't want to have the conversation. But they don't have as vibrant of a marriage as what they could have if they would just have the conversation and really talk about the benefits, pros and cons and all of that. And it might not look as bad as you think as bad as you think it would look if you just negotiate how you want it to look. So it's something to consider for yourself. It's something to discuss. Your life has way more opportunities than you think it does. And because society has taught us your life can only look one way, we don't really consider how else it could look and still meet your qualifications. Because it's possible, just because you can't imagine it up does not mean a life does not exist where you still get all the things that you want, but it still doesn't look like what you thought it would. It's very possible, come to find out. I'm proof. And you can still be happy, believe it or not. Making a change to your vision does not mean it's certain unhappiness. That's about what you choose to do with what comes to you, what you choose to make of the opportunity, whether you choose to be bitter about what you chose or whether you choose to be accepting and happy with what you chose. It makes a hell of a difference. So you have to um, think about manifestation and manifest clearly and look for the signs in what you asked for, because you're getting what you asked for. but you're not willing to make the sacrifice to maintain it. And that's what's going to keep you from manifesting. Never wife, but with my daughter, dad up to her 19th birthday. Okay, all right, I can understand that. Thank you guys so much participating to that tonight. I went over for about 5 minutes, but we're not doing too bad. I appreciate you guys tuning in for the live, and I will be doing another live tomorrow, probably around the same time as the one earlier today, and I might squeeze one in that tomorrow night, but we'll see. But definitely at least one. So I'll make the announcements as to the time, and then I will see you guys there. Continue to live your life in abundance and always be unapologetically you. Peace.